In today's video, we're going to be putting the new FX1 Low Pro set against the Matte Black Boost Plus set. This is going to be our model for today. This is Kevin. He normally wears a mullet with a full beard. Typically, he has this length of hair just tightened up and then the beard kind of stays that length. But in this video, we're going to be cutting this down because of his new job promotion, and we'll be using half his haircut as one tool and the other half for the other tool. So first things first, I'm going to start with a hair wash. I want to have a nice clean canvas to begin with. I'm going to speed through this process since this video is going to be about the two cutting tools against each other. Coming from damp hair, now I'm going to use a blow dryer to dry the sections that I'll be using a clipper on. Although our clippers can cut through wet or dry hair, the best time to use it is on dry hair because when it's wet, it's kind of like over oiling our clippers to where it's almost grabbing the hair and creating a lot of buildup in between the blades. So what I like to do is to always use my clipper work or my trimmer work on dry hair. Okay, so for his left side, I'm going to be using all FX1 system. We're using the Low Pro FX edition, so these feel a lot like a traditional clipper. If you have the black one or any of the specialty colorways in the past, then you may know what I'm talking about. So I'm debulking the hair right now using a number 2. I'm also using the premium guards over the standard guards. Premium guards are a little bit more tough and sturdy. They don't bend. They're not as flimsy as the standard guards, but some people prefer them. It just depends on the user. So before I get into the skin portion, I like to set my guide zone so I know what length I'm working into versus chasing the line from the bottom all the way up. Once I have kind of an area that I'm going to be working on, sometimes I like to edge first in the beginning before I get into the blend, and then a second time after the blend, depending on how crispy I want it. So I have the matching Low Pro FX1 trimmer here, and I have the gold standard blade on it. Typically this is supposed to come with the Blue FX skeleton, but I actually dropped it not too long ago, so I had to replace it with something. So the gold standard blade for me is kind of like the best of both worlds. It's great for edging, but it's also great for removing bulk. I like this blade a lot. It's a popular one. Most people use this on their Gold FX. This was one of our best selling trimmers that we've launched from a couple years back. The blade speaks for itself. Anyone that knows this blade knows exactly what I'm talking about. So I have my fade brush. This is going to be an important tool to have when you are fading because you need something that's going to completely clear your canvas as you're doing your blend. So I'm about to set my skin line, and typically what I like to do, depending on someone's beard height or shape and style that they're going for, helps me figure out where to start that line. Do I start it higher or do I start it lower depending on the style of beard that I'm doing? So his is going to be more kind of in a standard area. I'm going to keep it kind of in the middle where I do the blend. So as you can see here, I just put in my skin line. Followed up from that, I'm going to be using my single UV foil shaver. This is going to bring pretty much the trimmer stubble all the way down flush to the skin. And how I describe this to clients is that it keeps your haircut fresh for an extra few days before that hair grows back. You can absolutely finish with just a trimmer if you want more of the stubble look, but if you want to bring it really tight and all the way down, then you can use that single foil shaver to bring it there. I think most of you guys may know this, but you can change blades on most of our clippers. Everything is completely interchangeable. So in this demonstration, I actually have both my cutting clippers as the gold titanium wedge blade. What I really like about this tool is how comfortable it is to hold. Like, I feel like there's a really good balance as far as the front and the back weight of this tool. Now, it is feeling very new because of the battery operating system. You no longer have a cord that you have to charge it into. You no longer have a cord to attach into an outlet, but simply a single battery that you can swap in and out. Now, what's cool about that is if I run out of power, all I have to do is plug in a new battery versus having to put the tool down to charge it somewhere or having to switch to a different tool. This allows me to keep on the same tool, keep to the same power, just swapping out a completely different battery and giving it all that juice to run back up again. Another cool thing with the new FX1 series that I like that they improved on is the body style. So in the original model, the black versions, the bottom wasn't as narrow as this one. So you have also the same power button area. And then what's also new and improved that I struggled with in the beginning with the black set is the lever itself. It felt a little unstable, but in this one, they've improved it a lot to where the clicks are a lot cleaner, a heavier duty heavier lever that really helps. And on top of that, it also has an extended lever. This is very exciting for me because from the open to close position, this gives me more float in between to go through my blends. Think of it this way: if you have a short stretch, you have a shorter distance to really finesse that blend and get it really tight. When it's a little bit longer, it allows you to have a little bit more space to make sure that your blends are nice and clean and even. So shorter, steeper lever is a lot harder to use than something that has a little bit more length. So you have an extended lever here that also really helps. So think of it as when you're using it, it can open almost up to a 1.5 guard. So if you utilize that well and you know how to corner cut with it, it's really going to help you get through your cuts a lot smoother, especially when you're refining. As you can see here, now as I'm working into that length area, this is where corner cutting is really going to come into play, because if I use the full blade, I could potentially create new guidelines in the hair that I don't want. So as I move into an area that I don't want to mess up, this is where you're going to see me tilt a lot of my tool to make sure I'm cutting on an angle so that I can prevent myself from making any mistakes. It's always easier to cut more off than to put it back on. I'm now on the taper with no guard, just clipper all the way open and close. And if you can see here, I'm cutting on the side of the clipper using 2 to 4 teeth to really refine this blend. Now just remember, every single head shape you're working on is not perfectly round. You are trying to create a nice smooth blend on different head shapes that have different densities and growth patterns. Okay, so now we are going to start on the other side using the matte black boost set. This was a super popular one because this is an updated version of the old Gold FX model. You had higher RPMs, better battery life, and that rubber grip that everybody loves. So this one has more of your knurled barbell grip. This feels like literally a mag light, flashlight, or a barbell grip. It's super comfortable. It rotates perfectly even because of its round shape. The only difference with this one versus the Low Pro that we were just using is the longer body style. So some people like this, some people don't. The reason why we have so many options is because you guys are all different users. You like things differently depending on how you work and how often you work. Maybe you prefer something lighter, maybe you prefer something heavier, maybe you prefer something louder, and then other times people prefer something that's a lot quieter because maybe they cut kids or people that have a little bit more sound sensitivity. So there's a lot of different options. I've now got my hands on the Boost Plus trimmer. I'm using this to outline the hair, as you can see here. The blade that I have on this one currently, I remember switching to a DLC 2.0. I believe it comes with a graphite 2.0, but I switched it to the DLC 2.0. This to me is the later version of the gold standard blade that a lot of people love. I feel like the DLC just has a tighter crunch when I'm working with it, but it's solid for lineups and it's solid for removing bulk. I would say this is more of a gentle blade as well, especially around the ear. This is a very sensitive area, so I really take my time to making sure that when I'm using zero gap trimmers, zero gap clippers, that I'm not scrubbing them very hard on the skin to create any redness. My goal always when I'm cutting is to preserve a very clean work area where there's not any redness on the skin or leaving anything out there for anybody to see. What I like about this trimmer is that it's also very comfortable. The rubber grip handle makes it really easy to hold and easy to rotate, especially around the ear or tighter areas like in the mustache or the back of the beard. I don't know if you guys know this, but again, the single UV foil shaver has a 10,000 RPM on just one foil. Not even 2 foils, but just 1 foil. So think of all that power. So now back to the clipper work. We've already set my stopping point, right? Earlier when we did the clipper over comb with the clippers in the beginning. So when I'm blending up to it now with no guard on the clipper, this lets me know where I'm going to end up, so I know visually where to stop. This technique pretty much helps me from chasing the lines from the bottom to the top and losing control. This allows me to stay a little bit more organized in my work. And just like a typewriter motion, what I did in this previous area before, I'm going to continue it with a next guard. So that could be a 0.5, that could be a number 1, that could be a 1.5, that could be a 2, and so forth. Some people do a technique called guard skipping, and I would highly suggest trying that out once you get a feel for how you work and building the right muscle memory. Before you start skipping guards, understand the steps in detail, because then it'll make more sense when you do start to guard skip. As I'm using this tool, you can tell that it's pretty easy to float from different angles because of the round shaped body. I have zero trouble ever rotating this tool. It feels absolutely comfortable once you get the hang of it. With any tool that you buy, just make sure that you have a lot of practice with it, because even though I know my steps on what I have to do in order to get a skin taper or skin fade, I still have to build the muscle memory of that exact tool and how it feels in my hand, how to apply a certain amount of pressure, or what angle best that it works on. Now, it's really hard to think that once you have one tool that you can understand every one of them, but let me tell you, every single clipper has a different feel, has a different shape to it, that you will have to spend time in learning how to use it so you can get the maximum results from your tools. So everything we did with the hair, now we're gonna do with the beard, and I'm gonna turn this upside down. Freehand sculpting has been something that took me a while to get into, but it's actually a lot of fun. So because I don't actually know what length I was going in on Kevin's hair yet, we ended up using a 2 guard and going with the grain at first to see how he starts to look, because at this point he hasn't had it super short in a really long time. We've always kept it long. And then I'm gonna go ahead and turn this around and scoop underneath, and I'm only gonna do half of his beard on this side using the FX1 Low Pro. It cuts great. I love this tool because of it keeps the same 6,800 RPM, but again, I love how easy it is to maneuver. It's comfortable. It has the thumb grip right there in the front, and also the ergonomic back where the finger indents are, making this really comfortable to use. So I'm not running this against the skin completely. I'm almost freehanding it a little bit just to make sure I don't go too short. And now he's going to kind of feel it out and see if this is a comfortable length for him. Typically he does keep this a lot longer, so this is absolutely new for him. So now we're going to take it down just a little bit more and shorten it and round it out, and he's going to keep to this length. So we're just going to refine this and start to blend and shape everything. So now we're going to switch into our FX1 trimmers with the gold blade, the gold standard blade, and we're going to create that line underneath. This is also a completely new thing for him because we don't normally line up the bottom, so this is also a first for him. Again, these trimmers fit really comfortable in your hand. They're small, they're compact, they fit in really tight spaces like this. It makes it super easy to use. This also has a matching RPM of 6,800. I could definitely say that I would recommend this to anyone that's starting out all the way up to advanced barbers, only because this tool is really easy to use. That extended lever makes blending an easier process. The notches always keep you organized and consistent. Matching these up with the premium guards, I don't think you can go wrong with it. It's a great pairing. That new lever is super sturdy. I have no issues with it getting stuck. It floats from 1 to 5 really beautifully and smooth. As far as the beard goes, I want to make sure that I blend that in between, but as you can see here, I'm not going super low because I don't want that blend to stretch too far. I still want to keep the bottom of his beard still looking dark, you know, something that he's used to. I want to create a shorter beard for him, but I still want this cut to feel like who he was before. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side with the Boost Plus clipper. We got the long guard. I believe this is number 2, and we're going to go with the grain first and take that all the way down. Again, this is a super comfortable tool in my hand. The rubber grip makes it really easy to turn upside down, sideways, any direction that you may need it. I don't know if you guys do this, but I also ask clients, different ones as well, to give me any feedback on how the tools feel for them. And you may be surprised on what you hear. Certain blades don't hurt versus some tools hurt their head. And I can say that I understand this for myself because when I used to get fades, there were certain tools that when they were scrubbing on my scalp, it almost like calloused my skin in a way. So it's very interesting to also learn about metals in your blades, and I'll do another video updated on that because there's a whole other thing about just the way the friction is. Some blades hurt, some blades don't hurt. So some blades are better for crispy cuts, some blades are better for curly hair. So there's a lot of other things that actually go into it as well. So now we get to the fun part and we get to line up the bottom. Again, this is the DLC 2.0 blade. Right here you can see that he has some growth patterns going upwards, some going to the left, some going to the right, and it's just a matter of making sure each of those line up as close as possible into the line that we're looking for. So for some, this may not be new news, but for those of you that are newer at this, a cool little trick that really helped me get better at lining underneath was actually resting their head back. Sometimes when we have our clients look up, they look too far back and it stretches the neck out, and then we lose the line a little bit, or they don't do it enough and we can't really see. So something I like to do is just a light tilt backwards so that I can see a nice straight line across, versus letting them do the control. This also helps them also just be able to sit a little bit more comfortably. Okay, so now with the sideburn edge up, you guys already know the matte black Boost Plus trimmer is a beast. This cuts really well. Again, this is my DLC 2.0 blade, and if you mix this with your favorite blade, it doesn't have to be that same blade. You have your fine tooth blade, you have your standard, you have your deep tooth blade, and then you also have this DLC 2.0. And then coming soon is going to be the Blue FX, which comes on the Low Pro itself. So you can actually get both of those things new when you purchase that tool. Same thing now on the other side, we're going to be using my standard blade. Again, I dropped my blade earlier, so I had to switch to this one. But the gold standard blade, you can't go wrong with that. It's great for edging. It's great for removing bulk. This helps me get a nice clean line. Now, just to finish it off, we're going to put a little product in his hair and diffuse and bring out those natural waves. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of watching the FX1 versus the Matte Black Boost Plus edition. They both cut really well. It really just comes down to the user. Let us know in the comments what you think about each of the tool sets. And again, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.